Hello, everyone. Hi, I'm Justin Mickle, CEO and co-founder of NutriCompass, and welcome to another episode of Zero One Podcast. I am joined here today with Tavon Wills. He is, oh my gosh, you you own a family business, Willis Recycling, and you also own a real estate company.
Yes,
You want
sir.
to talk more
Yes,
about
sir.
those?
Absolutely, Justin. Thank you so much for the opportunity to join Zero to One. Amazing name, by the way. I'm interested to
Thank
to
you.
hear more about how you came up with that name. It's very, very awesome. Willis Recycling was the first opportunity I had to get introduced to a business, so hands-on, and it was just an amazing opportunity for me because it kind of fell in my lap, like just being really just being willing to work, like just willing to basically, go out there and do hard work, get my hands dirty. I was able to basically find out more skill sets that I had, which is basically buying and selling, connecting with people, and really just striving to get that profit. And so that's kind of what Willis Recycling did for me. It uncovered a lot of opportunity and what most people would probably overlook, and just seeing that something that's trash, where I had the opportunity to see like, wow, this has value. This can be turned into monetary gain, and then just further fed my thirst there. So
Right on, right on. Okay, because this business is 9 years old, right? As of
yes.
today, right?
Yes, 9 years old as an official business, but as a family kind of trade, much longer, decades. My grandpa did it to subsidize his income. My dad did it to subsidize his income, but as a business, as Willis Recycling, 9 years old.
Nice. So, okay, like when it comes to recycling businesses, it's very not sexy. I don't think that most people would come out the gate go, listen, I want to build a recycling place, but I imagine it's pretty profitable as far as like one, you have certainty that people are going to throw stuff away. People are going to go throw out like stuff all the time, right? I know the amount of times that cans end up from the recycling bin to the trash can is it's pretty staggering. But you guys are B2B, so this is even beyond that. This is like recycling much stuff do you recycle like every week?
That's a really good question, man. So on average, man, I would say at least, and so there's a lot of different sectors of this recycling game. You have more of your scrap metal, so ferrous and non-ferrous, right? A bulk of our revenue is going to come from that, but also you have like cardboard bills, and so and they all have separate markets. Um, uh, and that it's just it gets deep there, but I would say on average, it's probably about 20, I would say anywhere between, it depends, anywhere from about 50, probably about 15 to 20 tons a week, I would say.
20 tons a week?
Yeah, so that's, and then you times that by two, so, 30, 30 to 40,000 pounds on average a week over the culmination of, projects and whatnot. It's,
Shit. Okay, so
it's,
how many clients do you have? Do you have like 30 or 40?
yeah, somewhere around 30 or 40,
Okay.
30 or 40. Some of those are our main. We started to play a little bit of Monopoly here.
Yeah.
We got introduced to a client base that works for our B2B business model, and then we were able to put bins there, and then from there we have some reoccurring weight to service, and then so that's how that works. But yeah, we usually do quite a bit of material a week in a month, and sometimes, man, I tell you what, one month, I believe it was like probably last year, we did over 100 net tons of material for on a Southern California project. So yeah, yeah. So we've seen some material, but this is a lot of ebbs and flows in this service that we're in. It can be cold turkey sometimes, right? Where we're scrapping, we're just trying to get our hands on material, right? But then you get that big project, and it's a lot of material moving. So
So, like, what is like, as far as your customers look like? So, what do they typically look like? Are they,
yeah, customers. So HVAC companies are good when we can get those. We really appreciate that. They have what is known as non-ferrous material. Your copper, all those things are going to have a higher value than like traditional, like steel, what everybody thinks of. And then, like you mentioned, a lot of people just think of recycling as cans and bottles. Like that's just like one aspect of it. The
yeah.
uncovered aspect is just all the other material, I think. But Um, yeah, HVAC companies are good. Auto body shops, anybody, construction folks, anybody who can generate a lot of waste material and want to recapture some of that value would be a good customer for us. Government relationships is something that um, my grandpa has had and my dad has had, but we would like to get that more formally moving forward. And I think that could be a great opportunity, as well as the military. I mean, the military has a lot of material. They have like brass shells. That would be awesome. We've even partnered with a police department
That's cool.
In Solano County recently. So, those type of relationships would be awesome for us. So that's what we hope to continue to scale up.
So, as a family business, when it comes to building that trust and building those relationships, how's that work? This is decades long of work and then 9 years, on paper. But in building these relationships over time, um, with these bigger agencies, how does that work?
Yeah, yeah. You know what? I think it's really, I think it's a sense of gratitude. It's really building upon, I think, what I learned from my grandpa. Like he used to, I remember being in like second, third grade and just wanted to make some extra money during the summertime. And, him being able to take me out to pick up like, do hard labor, like and pick up like loose cardboard, you know what I mean? And like, or to like stop and like pick up metal, but that money allowed me to get some new shoes, and so I guess being in that space of like working for everything and sweat equity and then to have the opportunity to be of service of a bigger agency, just that gratitude, you know what I mean, and that respect, I think it goes a long way with people when they see people willing to work really hard and being appreciative and kind of doing it with the right spirits.
Right. Leading with gratitude is huge. I think that's the number one thing that you have to do is you have to be appreciative of what you have first before you can get anything new. Right.
I love that. Yes,
And
yes, yes.
we're hearing proverbs of like, what you do with a little, you do with a lot.
Good. That's real
um,
good.
Dude, it's true though.
That's good. Yeah, yeah.
So when it comes to you've built it, so building this work ethic, right? Like over generations, this is a 3 generation in like progress company that you've been building.
hmm
Um, how do you keep that fire going across those generations?
Man, that's a good question. I think right now the state, I mean, I think really when you look at socioeconomics, I think there is a bigger picture here. Being African American or in just the state of you almost have to in a way, in my opinion, or you at least need to be aware of it's a responsibility for me, being the grandson of my grandpa and of my dad and us going through what we went through, the '08 crash, right? I mean,
Hmm.
this is stuff that was almost for me as a child that shaped me into the reason why I am the way I am right now in the pursuit of sustainability and things of that nature. And so just being aware of that, it's almost like a responsibility for me to fight for myself and for my family as well, to make sure that I that I that I reciprocate what was given to me, which was opportunity.
Right.
And so that's what keeps me going. And also, you know, um, it's a lot of opportunity in this space. And so for me, I want to make sure that I do what I can to secure some of that revenue, not just for my family, but for myself as well, right? So it's full circle.
Nice. So when it comes to being a real estate agent, you're kind of used to hunting for your own food already. So it's kind of interesting that you've mentioned this earlier, but where's the cross pollination happen on that? So, because I've seen your website, you have some beautiful houses on there.
Thank you.
But
Thank you.
right, how do you get your deal flow started? How do you build that, like that book of business?
Yeah, awesome, man. A lot of my book of business has came from marketing and
Hmm.
also just fostering those relationships that I've had. Like my first deal came from my best buddy, LaDontre Gooden. He's actually in Iraq serving right now, so keep him in your prayers and in your prayers. But he supported me on my first deal in 2019. And I believe I had posted something about Oak Park or something like that, and I believe it was some major deal going on. I believe the hospital was coming or something of that nature. And he was able to get in right around COVID time, and he got in with low rates. And so those type of relationships, and I was able to sell his home for a profit as well because he actually was positioned in Georgia. But those type of relationships, making sure that I really serve and stay in communication with those who I grew up with is where I get most of my deals. Have now put together. I partner with a team, some more friends, basically, who are
Hmm.
helping me out with more sophisticated marketing, and I'm hoping to scale up that way. And also, I've joined a brokerage that allows me to retain more of my commission and also recruit and empower others as well. So that's some new things that I implemented this last year that I'm really excited about. That I'm hoping to scale out to not just my folks that I know, but also more of a national sort of effect because I now can recruit agents all across the nation, and I can send referrals and all that good stuff all across the nation and even in different countries such as Canada. So I'm really excited about scaling the real estate business as well.
Nice, nice. And so the reason why I'm asking is because you have these two things going on, right? You have
Yes.
one that's a manual labor job that or manual labor
Mm-hmm.
business that
Mm-hmm.
takes a lot of time and effort and energy.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a family business.
Mm-hmm.
And you have one that you can like scale to the moon basically. Um, depending on how much client flow you have, how much stress you have, your brand, all that good stuff. So, it's pretty interesting because you're grassroots on all these things. um when it comes to dealing with like some of the stuff that comes in this boring business compared to like a more, I want to say sexier or like
Mm-hmm.
more
Yeah.
luxurious look appealing business,
Yes.
how do you work with those two things?
Man, that's a really good question because it's actually a guilty pleasure for me. Well, to get dressed up and do things like real estate and just be in that ambiance sometimes after being in the trenches. But one thing I will say about recycling is this: there is a pleasure of being outside, being with my pops, being outside in the fresh air, to actually buy material, own the material, profit from the material. You know what I'm saying? It's to control to set a deal and to be full circle the person to make sure that customer gets paid, the service gets done, and to split it, and it's just different. That type of that's kind of hard to get from real estate. There's so much paperwork, minute things you have to do with real estate. It could take a while to actually reap some of your rewards in real estate. So it balances really well for me. I mean,
Hmm.
because I get to, I get to get really dirty on one end and then get really clean on another,
Yeah,
and almost like the yin and the yang of it. I mean,
I
it's
feel it.
it's it's kind of it's
Yeah, right there with you, man. Honestly, it's one of the best things ever because it keeps you grounded, which is what I
yeah,
found to be
yeah,
like the hardest thing to do when it comes to business is you have to try not to be your own ass sometimes. Um,
yeah,
because you're like, oh, I'm what are you talking about? I'm Mr. Tech Entrepreneur. Like the fuck? No. But you actually aren't better than anyone at all. And it's important to keep that, you know, awareness
yeah,
because if you don't, you're disconnected from everybody, which doesn't work well in business, relationship
100%,
building, and community building, and like anything you're trying to do. Um, it's not a positive sum
100%,
game. Um, that's awesome. That's really awesome.
100%, man,
So,
100%. And I think
mhm,
I think recycling has this old school feel to it,
yeah,
which reminds me of it. Just keeps you, like you said, keep you grounded. I mean, it just keeps you grounded.
yeah. I mean, okay. So when it comes to recycling, right? What's your big passion for the recycling besides the family dynasty aspect of it? Like, what personally about to you is important about recycling?
Man, awesome question, man. For me, I'm not gonna lie. I love the pound game, the tonnage game, the buy low, sell high game. It's simple, but it works for me. I love that aspect. And also, I had mentioned to you in a previous conversation, another newfound joy that I've been getting is the sustainability aspect. What as a byproduct of these efforts that are just that had to be put in place by survival, we're doing this good by way of lowering carbon emissions, saving trees. And for me, I look at it as a bigger picture. I'm like, okay, there's a whole bunch of people who are doing this that are doing it to survive, right? To because maybe it's the best way for them to make income or supplement their income or for whatever reason. But I don't think they are aware of the good that they're doing unintentionally by recycling. I think people forget like the real reason why people should recycle, right? And that's to save Mother Earth. That's to like, lower all these carbon emissions and to basically, you know, preserve. We're doing a sustainable deed, and so that's what I've been excited about lately. But getting into it, I just enjoy to profit, really, just a business person hustling. That is where I started off. But
On and honestly, when it comes to creating the actual like value of either a net zero or even net positive future, for longevity is really important, right? Like, how do you feel about the new technologies that are coming out in the near future that can impact your industry?
that's a really
Yeah.
interesting, man. New technologies, man, that's big time. I'm excited about it. But also I know there's some folks I talked to some other folks that are in this space and so their trade may be like engines and core car parts like that, right? And the future of vehicles, they're not promised to have these. It doesn't look like they're going to have a lot of these older car parts that a lot of people have scaled out to build their business around. But overall, I'm excited about you know the lowering of carbon emissions and all that good stuff and going net zero. I think it will create new markets. I'm excited to learn them, but it's going to kill some markets too, probably, or and yeah, for sure. Like I think cars are already using different materials, less metal, to make them more efficient. So that's going to have an impact on some people's pocketbooks. And but overall, I'm excited about it. I'm excited about technology and what it can do for efficiency and the sustainability aspect of how things are done, even if it means that people's roles or skill sets change.
Yeah. Okay. So, because we talked about this earlier, we talked about this in an earlier conversation, manual labor, and what are some of the things with a family business that would stop you from scaling? Right. I feel like you could blow this thing out the water to like scale it to all of Sacramento area if you had the labor to do it. You know, like
Yeah, it's definitely something that a thought process that crosses my mind. I think it's a double-edged sword. I think the same thing that could preserve a service can also, on the other side, be the thing that that allows it to take off or not, right? And so, um, yeah, family business, it is. You do have to respect the family business of the aspect in my position, and you know, it, it's interesting, and I know we talked about this off cameras, and it's just interesting. But yeah, that's all I got to say about it. I think if I like to the way I look at this industry, actually, I would like to look at it almost like Uber, right? Potentially, right? To empower as many people as possible, right? But they come to a platform to get this empowerment, right? That's how I would like to run it. And I have faith that we can eventually get there, but it just takes time. It takes trust, right, to get there. So I'm optimistic about it. So
how do you scale trust? Like how do you make it to where not just you, but the company that you're working with is trustworthy, and the family dynamic is trusting of the people that you guys bring into this company, right? How do you scale that culture? How do you scale that trust?
I think it all starts with leadership, and it starts with the leaders of that company having a great communication and trusting one another. And I think once that's done, we can achieve wonderful things if the vision is in alignment to do those things. But like you said, I mean, and like we know, the vision has to be similar. It's got to be similar to get there. And you know, it's it's interesting it's interesting dynamics, but I'm optimistic that everybody can get there and we can all have the outcome we want, either one way or another, right? Under one umbrella or another. So, um, one market or another. That's the beautiful thing about business, man. It's just so many markets, there's so many opportunities, and you know, yeah,
Because okay. Um, And actually, this is a really interesting question because I'm just going to keep asking questions. And because I want to, I feel like you have a very interesting experience where you can provide a lot of value to people who are watching, people who are interested um, in building their own family dynasties, but also trying to bridge the communication gap between like father and son to like, heir, next heir, so on and so forth. Because I feel like we're in a state now where it's more likely that people are going to fall on you know, their own way of generating revenue to kind of keep
mm,
themselves afloat rather than
hmm,
necessarily have to go into like the 9 to 5 culture. And, because right now we're
that's
seeing a
true.
lot of it, with Gen Zs, people have to have 2 jobs in order to keep things afloat, or they have to have more than one stream of income in order to keep things afloat. So, I
That's
think
true.
that,
I
yeah,
love that, bro. I love what you're saying, and you're right. I've heard that as well. Like, I think Naval said, he mentioned something along the lines of the future of human beings will be a little like lions. We go out and hunt to kill something, and we come back and, we come back and rest, and we go plan the next hunt, right? And just the spirit of entrepreneurship is in alignment of that. I agree.
yeah. And honestly, it's kind of bringing back some of the whole self-reliance thing, but we're in a weird society now where we're overly reliant on a lot of our leisures and a lot of our comforts. And so the self-reliance aspect of, building your own business, but also being willing to get your hands fucking dirty and sit and get up in the morning. Because when you guys have to get up to do these deliveries,
Yeah,
to
yeah,
to deal with
100%.
the
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Yeah, when we get up and man, our jobs can literally be anything. I mean, it can be as clean as loading bins or it could be as dirty as loading the bins, right? Or it can be crazy. But yeah, I think what really helped me is just realizing, like, really realizing what some of the forefathers who came before us did. And I would read all kind of different books, man, to see the opportunity that was in front of me, basically. Like a lot, like you said, a lot of people would not have. Honestly, eh, the last 9 years, I probably would have got paid a lot more if I would have leveraged my degree and worked somewhere else. But there's a sense of autonomy, there's a sense of ownership and that I really was hungry for because of the books that I read. Reading Sam Walton, reading John D. Rockefeller's biography, Les Schwab, Tire Centers, all of those guys. I mean,
yeah.
those are people. These are people that they struggle to get to where they are. And in this country, like if you struggle and you do the right things and you put together the right team and you capture the market, it could be rewarded really nicely. So I was inspired about that. And that's why for me, I don't mind, I don't mind, especially when it's a simple business. When you're telling me that I can go from A to B and get paid, it makes sense, right? Like I don't have to there's not a lot of a gray area, right? Like it's so yeah.
So what does the realistic picture of this business look like from an operational perspective? Like, what does a week look like in this business?
Mhm. A week looks like, basically I have a spreadsheet basically, in which I look at and I'm aware I have a post basically when these accounts will have a certain amount of weight, and then we schedule it based off of what the time of me and my partner, and we schedule it based off of when they're ready, so it's very much as a business that can be scaled and schedule properly, basically. So tracking uh, and and it depends on the flow of our customer base. Like when we were dealing with the HVAC company in Roseville. I mean, they required multiple pickups a week. I mean, but we don't have that account anymore. So now we have basically out of those 20 to 27 companies, they might be scheduled like every 3 to 4 weeks, rotating. And so that's that. And then I'm just, basically listening to the phone calls, basically. And we usually get a few calls a week that will allow us to purchase some product as well.
So when it comes to some of the processing side and actually going into, do you guys get up at like 4 a.m. and go to these things, or is it like days at a time or booked out? Like, how does that work?
Yeah, yeah. So no, usually we don't get up at 4 a.m. That's not unless we're on a project, like in a project in Southern California. We helped IKEA out there. That was the one project I mentioned that had over 100 net tons of weight. So
Right on.
that required us to get up pretty early and consistently. But outside of that type of project, uh, there's just like, hey, is your 9 a.m. available? Hey, okay, we'll schedule that. Then we'll schedule something at 11, or you know what I mean, and we'll just be out and about basically.
Right.
And so that's kind of how that works out. I usually wake up in the morning and like I said, I check the spreadsheet and see who is coming up basically, who needs to be serviced, what accounts are getting hot or warm, or we know that we just recently serviced, and that's where we go from.
Nice. So when it comes to building an account, right, building that trust, because again, this is, I feel like there is some degree of trust you have to build and earn before you're actually able to go out and be like, hey, can I get your recycling? And then take it back to you. Um, how does that work as far as building those relationships?
Good question. I think one thing that I was able to uncover is how to give explain value basically to an account, right? Because they're not going to just hand over material to you. And in most cases in this space, the barrier of entry is not terribly hard, right? And so it's really important to be able to have people trust you very quickly and to stand out in the space. And that may come from, folks may be able to do that in a few different ways. But money talks. And so knowing the product, and knowing for us, for now 9 years in, now I can go off of, hey, we help these folks, or hey, here's the kind of who we dealt with in the past, and that kind of helps. But also just hey, what are you getting for this product? Oh, would you be open to this? Or what? Basically, how can you create a win-win deal, right? And
Yeah.
that's just kind of what I get excited about. I like to have those conversations, um and even then, and to add to that, I'm even taking that to the real estate side now. Like, how can I create a win-win deal? What is the market? What's the status quo of the market? Okay,
Nice.
cool. All right, cool. How can I, like, how can I make it work for both of us, right? Knowing what my team's good at and what we're not good at, acknowledging that, and then being like, hey, this is an innovative solution, right? And we've done that in recycling a few different times. Like, okay, this is what you were doing. Well, this is how we can make this better for the both of us. And so that's the thought process that I would like for us to expand on, and that we've had some success with in the past.
And honestly, the value creation is the number one aspect of it. Uh,
Hmm.
if you were to describe like the start of when you first started the recycling business to now, right? What were some of the biggest things you had to like learn and unlearn to get here?
Mm, that's good. Learn and unlearn to get here. Scaling. Um, I would say me. I'll do an introspection of me personally. That for me, I'm kind of a tightwad with cash, right? And so for me, it's really just trusting the team. Really a humbling. I mean, I'm at a stage right now in my life where I'm just, I'm balancing confidence with humility, right? And I'm realizing, like, man, I'm just so blessed to have a father as entrepreneurial thinking as I am, right? But I'm more of the person that's not trying to spend a lot on equipment and things of that nature. Where my pops is like, yeah, he's ready, it's he has faith in the game, right? And I need that, right? And I'm starting to realize how important that is. And so, like, we've had the same truck. We've modified the trailer so it can hold more weight, and that's helped us out a lot, right? We pay less in gases compared to somebody with a commercial truck, right? We pay less in gas, we pay less in commercial fees, and all these good things, right? So both being resourceful is great, but also where I'm getting to in this next phase, and then maybe the next 10 years or so, is investing in equipment to make our lives easier and better, and for us to look more of the part. And that's kind of where I am right now. But yeah, so yeah, that's how I believe I've grown from the start, which is like just basically trying to get it done with the least amount of revenue or money or like no debt, and which is a good thing for us, right? But just get it done with absolutely bare resources, right? Just
Yeah.
only necessities, right? And now I'm to the point where it's like trusting the team really. Like, hey, what do you think is best, okay, cool, how can we go about it in a way that allows us to be sustainable and
Right.
not stressed out. That's most important for me. I don't want to be, my whole thing is with debt and scale and buying these things, and is the stress associated with it. I don't doubt that it'll pay off. It's really the stress, right?
Yeah.
It's like right now we have a situation where we don't, if we don't have a job today, it's okay, we'll wait till the right, like Warren Buffett says, the right deal comes in a sweet spot, right? And then
Hmm.
we'll win with that one. But also, it's good to have those a partner that thinks a little bit more differently than I do, and I know he probably appreciates the way I think as well.
Yeah. Different perspectives provide different perspectives, right? That's actually been a super big thing for growth that I found just from building a team myself and like learning how to run a company
Mm,
is dealing with and also appreciating other people's perspectives and opinions. Um,
mm,
especially when it comes to like the seniority aspect of things. Like, oh, I built this company. What are you talking about? But no, people actually know what they know, and you don't know what you don't
yeah,
know. And
exactly, exactly.
being okay to experiment. Like 80/20 rule is very important, at least over here. I'm curious to see, or I'm curious to ask you, how do you guys deal with those times where it's time to experiment or it's time to innovate a little bit? It's time to, right? And how do you navigate those conversations?
Mm, that's good. That's real good. A lot of that's good. Um, I would say me and Pops basically we w- we work together so long that it basically happens. Usually when there's a sense of disaster, like for example, we basically raised the trailer, put some bigger springs on it at one point when the trailer needed to be redone, right? And so that was a form of innovation there, and it just comes out of necessity, I think. And we just communicate when we can, and if it sounds like a good idea, one of us will really push for it, and the other one just knows probably to get out the way, like but yeah, that's kind of how it works. So yeah, that's we just try to communicate when we can, and when it's really important, we try to communicate really well.
Nice. Okay. So from going from recycling to real estate, right? You've gone from this manual labor job, this manual labor like style of entrepreneurship to this more like long-term paperwork and just arbitrage is for sure that I find it because I hate forms. I don't know about you.
Yeah,
Like
it's a
I
lot,
cannot stand forms. How many forms you have to go to in order to get one deal signed, like as a real estate
man.
investment?
The RPA, the residential purchase agreement, man, they're adding more. The thing is about real estate is every year, because of the lawsuits and whatnot, they're adding more forms. So, like, if you talk to a realtor 15, 20 years ago, they'll tell you, like, oh, it was only like 2, 3 pages, or like, like 2 to 9 pages. It's
Yeah.
like 30 pages. Like, uh, it's like 27 to 30 pages, RPA. The listing side probably should be a little lighter, but, yeah, I mean, it's just a lot. And so, knowing that and having a team that knows that is really important. Transaction coordinators are really important, but that's one of the pleasures I get coming from recycling. Like if I get a Thursday in which it's lower, like not a lot of work for recycling, I'll be like, you know what, cool, I can focus on if there's a real estate class going on about contracts, right? Or like, there's some type of teaching going on that I can delve deeper, so I can be a better advocate for my clients in that way. But it's another one of those things where you just find some type of enjoyment in the grind, right? Or enjoyment in delving deeper on behalf of your clients, right? And so knowing that, yeah, there's a lot of realtors out there, but very few are going to be able to dive as deep, in some cases on some of these things, and that's what separates. I mean, even in confidence, the great realtors and brokers from the other ones, and just knowing what you don't know, right? I mean, like like I said, one thing I've done this year is making sure that I've assembled. If I don't have all day to be in contracts, I know I got a strong TC to know, uh, to know to make sure that things are done properly.
Hmm.
But also, I know that hey, if I'm lacking in this area of my game, that I can take advantage of these classes when they come up, right? Basically, or leverage even technology to explain them. You know what I mean? And so all of these things are right in front of us, and I'm excited about it. So,
Yeah.
uh, for me, it's the right balance, man, because you know, building building the recycling service or business from where it's being built from, it's almost refreshing to go to a space where there's a little bit more structure sometimes, right? And it's almost refreshing, right? And then I can almost take that and take that back with me to the recycling world too, right? And yeah, so
What like if you had to bottle it and give it to someone who had no idea how to run either one of these operations that you're doing, because you're doing two things, um, what is like the key advice that you'd give them
hmm. Either for to do one or the other,
to
to do one
do
or the
to be able to like what like there are skills that are applicable to both that you've learned,
hmm.
right?
Okay.
If you were to take those skills and be like, hey, listen, here's a sentence that a third grader can understand, right?
Hmm.
What
Hmm.
would you tell them?
I would say I would say have a thirst for learning in both of those spaces, and especially in real estate. It's you're always learning. And you're always learning in real estate. It's never over. Like it's there's always a new law, there's always things changing, the market's always changing. Eh, You're always learning. And I guess the same thing in recycling, but it's just a little different because, you know, eh, recycling changes too, and the commonality between the two are people, right? And the commonality between the both services are the people with the material or the asset or whatever you might want to call it, how to get them to trust you with it, right? And that's the commonality between those two worlds. Um, and yeah, so I would say be resourceful by way of learning, by way of spotting opportunity, and one should eventually get some type of action that they will then have to learn from and then figure out a way to uh, repeat over and over again.
Yeah.
So,
You have to be able to create a reliable system that can go, like I think that and we've definitely talked about this a lot, and I can talk about this ad nauseum, like all the time. I think it's you start with like the thing you have, the circumstance, right? Then you have how you act in the circumstance. Then you have the resulting from the behavior that you have, and then you have like the habitual stuff you do, and it goes over and over again. Um,
mm,
but it's really hard to get out of your own way sometimes and figure out, oh shit, I need to learn something new. If you don't get your head like crushed a couple times or trying to like
yeah,
have some grit and actually learn the hard way. Um,
yeah.
I so like recently I have just concluded my community nutrition educator job and my um ID security job over at SkyCloud. And these two are very different worlds as well. While also like doing the entrepreneurship and like, networking my butt off. Uh, but it's really useful to have these people skills because you're able to go to different rooms and be successful, which I don't think that people understand how important that is as far as being entrepreneurs to build that level of trust and
Hmm.
understanding. Um,
Hmm.
and so I'm
I
like,
agree.
oh, like you also understand that aspect of things and kind of going, all right, cool. Like, how do you build that skill? Because I wish I could teach it better, you know?
Yeah,
Um,
you're hitting on a key point right now. I mean, like you said, we have to be adaptable and malleable, right? I mean, and to, like you said, to get in these different rooms, like right now, I got some buddies who they they're more technical. They're more technical advanced than me. Like that's what they do. And like I mean, it's nice to be around them. It's nice, especially in today's age. Like it's nice, and if whoever uh, say if I didn't have the ability to like be friends with them, like I wouldn't be like I wouldn't have opportunities that I would have right now that could be helping me out, in these other spaces, and people on my team out too, So it's
Yeah.
important, like you said. I mean, for entrepreneurs to know how to um, understand people and and value them and contribute to what they're offering as well, right? I mean, so that you can stay in that group as well. So,
So if you were to so what's your definition of someone who's competent and someone who's like intelligent? I think
mm,
that when it comes to like how entrepreneurship works, this is a game of essentially buoyancy. You got to be able to, regardless of what time it is, right? Regardless of who's in charge, what's going on, you got to be able to survive at the end of the day and bring that deer or whatever back home to the rest of the
yeah.
bride, right? Like,
Yeah, 100%. Intelligence for me, I would say learning from how fast someone can learn from their previous mistakes and not make them again. That's kind of what I would like deem intelligence. And like you mentioned, being able to maneuver different markets to survive, basically to maneuver different situations to survive. So adaptability and learning from previous mistakes is what I would see someone as competent and intelligent. And also with competence, I would say being proactive in some ways. Like, I'm that's one thing that I try to do, at least in businesses that I understand, is to like sometimes you got to anticipate a client, what they're thinking, how they might perceive things so that the ride's a little better, right? So like the experience is a little better. And that I think people appreciate that. Like,
are you able to tell us an example of it? Because I feel like it would be so much more
yeah.
applicable.
Yeah, yeah, an example would be good. There's certain just even from a communicative standpoint, right?
Uh-huh.
If I know if I'm going into a place in which I know they're traditionally doing something a certain way or they're used to certain uh type of customer, doing business with a certain, type of customer. And I know that I'm coming in there, and if I can almost present myself and my service in a way that de-arms them, right? That could give us a chance to do business with them. And I've had some wins that way, and it actually is it's pretty cool, I mean, I like that, you know. I like doing business that way, and it's like because it creates a moat from other people who might not be able to cross that barrier, so
Yeah. What was your first big win when it comes to recycling game?
mm, first big one. That's good. That's real good. I would say for me personally, I remember this. For me personally, I would say uh, uh, I would say doing me and my pops did a job for someone. And we seen we from doing that job, we were able to see basically a future customer base for us. And I remember going back and like, wow, like I'm just not making enough money. And then basically doing market research or target sales or whatever where we want to give it and say, hey, these these places are there's like 6 or 7 of them out here, right? If I can create a sustainable business plan for these people and they can commit their material to us, our income can raise, our income would rise, and our business valuability would rise as well. And to see that actually take place, maybe 80 to 90% of the 80 to 90% of the plan actually be a part of our customer base, that was a huge win, because it lets me know that like strategic thinking and and value add propositions can have a long-term effect. I mean, some of these customers that I'm talking about, we've been doing business with for 5 to 7 years. And it's not a lot of money. We're not talking about, we pick up thousands of dollars. No, but over time though, like over time, like you go a couple thousand times, 7 years, and it just, like building blocks, that you can stand on to then do the next thing. Right. And I like that. That's a huge win for us. That's a big win, and I take a lot of pride in that. So, but other than that, I would say marketing efforts that yielded wonderful revenues, I would say, right? Like just being in the game, like having the pond, your pond in the ocean, right? Like just being in a game and just seeing how that is, and just knowing now, like it's levels. I listened to one of your podcasts. It's levels, right?
Yeah.
So it gets me excited, like about having your fishing pole in the lake,
Mhm.
or in the ocean, right? I mean,
Yeah.
that's what it's all about, like, so
I mean, at first you always gotta start out like in the creek that's this big, but I mean,
yeah.
eventually you get to the point where it's insane, and then you're like, wow, this is like, how do we pull this off? But it's a lot of it's the systems that you build early on, and that because turns out a lot of stuff is still true, even at the highest level of entrepreneurship, right? You still gotta, people are still people. So trust is huge, like communication is huge, setting expectations are huge, managing contracts and expectations is like, oh my God, that's the whole skill, right? But then, oh, your behavior when things go wrong, huge.
Mm,
Your behavior
mm,
when stuff goes right, huge. Your behavior
mm,
like over a consistent period of time, huge, right? And it's all these things that matter. But at the end of the day, like we're still doing the same hustle. It's just at a bigger scale. And
mm-hmm.
I think it's insane how useful a skill it is that people just don't get taught. Uh, but you have to learn it the hard way. Like
Yeah,
you have to
yeah.
leave
I
your
was gonna
house for
ask
it.
you.
Yeah.
Got you. I see. Okay. And I was gonna ask you, Justin, like, why is that? And you think it's because folks are maybe too, they're only in their bubble, so they don't acquire this school. I mean, excuse me, this skill.
Yeah. I mean, okay, right. If every time you leave your comfort zone, you have to like, in order to leave your comfort zone, you have to leave your comfort zone, right? So it's uncomfortable in nature. And we're not really wired to seek discomfort unless you're
Mm,
used to a certain level of discomfort, in which case that's your new comfortable. Congratulations, right?
mm,
Which is kind of interesting
mm.
because you get to a point where you're so used to being uncomfortable that being comfortable again sucks. Which, if you've, because you've been grinding and, that's why I like talking to entrepreneurs because they get it. Uh, it's hard to go from war mode to peace mode. And that's a difficult transition to make. Like when you first start, your goal is to get as uncomfortable as possible, talk to as many people as possible, get feedback from people, show them the thing, and like ask them to buy it and pay for it, and then ask for why they won't buy for it, pay for it. Ask them why they won't, and then actually uncover those reasons and then like solve those problems and then come back and do it again and like face those challenges and those demons head on, oh my God, right? You actually might get some progress and then get some revenue, get some like traction, but not enough people are able to get their heads and their mindset to go do that, right? There's a point where you have to kind of drop your ego and let your experimentation take over, right? You got to be a scientist for
Mm,
this stuff.
mm. That's
So,
good.
like,
That's
there's
real good.
that part of things. But then there's a point where you're so used to experimenting that you can't stay consistent, which is why you got to like kind of balance it out with like 80/20, some type of ratio with it wise, you're just flopping around, going around circles, and you have no idea what's going on. And then you're sad and broke, and now your life's not where you want it to be. Right.
Yes, 100%. Yeah, 100%. I agree. Yeah,
Yeah. And
that's good.
to answer your question from earlier, the reason why I called it Zero One Podcast is on several reasons. So I was a huge fan of, I'm still a huge fan of Blue Lock. Like I watch a bunch of anime. I'm a nerd. Uh, uh going from, and Peter, like there's a bunch of books like Zero to One. But going from zero, like I have not started anything, I have no traction whatsoever, and getting to that one, that first big win, that where I'm like, hey, here's where I'm at. Here's where I know I've arrived in some way. Here's where I feel like I've earned my own self respect. I don't feel like I'm a loser anymore, which, I feel like there's some element of that in society that we just have to deal with as like our own selves before we're able to go out and deal with the rest of the world.
That's good. That's real good. I agree. I love that, man. That literally I can relate. I can relate wholeheartedly, bro. I remember I needed the Willis Recycling opportunity after coming back from college, and or I went to school in Oregon, right? And I had planned to be there for a while, but after a certain situation took place, basically I was back home with a whole bunch of student loan debt, so over $60,000 of student loan debt. But I knew one thing. I knew after doing an internship as a recruiter and a staffer, that I didn't want to work in the office all day. I didn't want to work a regular W-2 job, basically. And that's why I had the desire to build this recycling business and really commit to it. And um, so like you said, going from a place of trying to build a foundation and getting that first win it's everything. I mean, I would encourage anybody to have that certain sense of whatever it is they might be interested in, if, whether it's for profit, nonprofit, whatever passion or mission that they have, to really get behind it because it's important, to like you said, face your fears in the market, things of that nature, and just stay curious, like Steve Jobs said, right? Just stay curious, right? I mean, it's a beautiful thing. It is.
And the more you know, the more you know you don't know, which is kind of right. But it's terrifying to think about it now because we're at this point where this is a massive revolution that's going to happen as far as technology. All these things are going to hit a J curve, right? We have companies going public, SpaceX is going public,
Mm,
like OpenAI is going public. A bunch of companies are going to go public soon, and we're going to see some crazy stuff happen in the next couple months. How are we going to react? What's going to happen here for real? We have robots coming out in like 10, 15 years. Oh my God. What? You mean to tell me all those movies we've been watching, we actually have to deal with that like possibility of a consequence for technology advancing to the point, oh my gosh, right? But we have
that is amazing.
we have
Scary though.
so many things happening. We have like casual space launches getting ready to happen. We have, advances in gene editing, like all these things happening.
Mm,
And it's like, holy crap. But tomorrow's Sunday, right? Or like, oh,
yeah.
tomorrow's
Wow.
Tuesday. Or, oh,
You still got to survive.
you still
Yeah.
have to pay your bills, my guy. You still
Right.
have to like,
Right. Right.
you know, gas is $6, but it's no big deal. It
Yeah.
just so I think it's hilarious how, there's lots of extremes in the world. There's the extreme poverty, there's extreme wealth, but there's also the extreme of like, well, I just did a thing that's so cool, but I'm going to go take a nap now. Like you have to balance out the mundane and the exciting all the time in order to keep yourself sane. But,
Yeah,
uh,
100%, man. That is, we're living in there, like they say, we're very lucky to be in this time period. But
yeah,
yeah, I mean, we still got to make it, man. I mean, we still got to make it to that point where everything's deflationary, and there's
mhm,
some sense of, um, things that they're talking about, like that could happen. So yeah.
yeah, it's just do the best you can and be honest about it, right? Go to sleep proud of what you did the day of, and that's about it, chief. Because you ain't nothing else you can control, fam. I'm sorry,
Yeah, nothing else, huh?
right? It's just like what you going to try to do. But I think that if we have more people who are just trying to take care of themselves and be responsible with their time, like the world's probably gonna be a better place,
Yes. Yes.
objectively.
Yes. I mean, yeah, in that we realized that, you know, it's one of the things that we talked about briefly is longevity, man. I
Yeah.
mean, that's one thing that I've been just getting I get a lot of guilty pleasure, man, just learning about these folks who are on a cusp of expanding their lifespans and, you know, just really expanding health awareness and all that good stuff because like you said, I mean, how we spend our time and what we spend our time doing it, the trade-off, I mean, especially when we get into what it does to our body and brains and things of that nature, it's just crazy, man. I mean,
Yeah.
if we can tighten that up a little bit, um, we just have so many more pleasurable experiences. It's crazy.
You'll be able to enjoy the full spectrum of your existence. Like, oh my gosh, you can, if you're, I think I recommend everyone to stretch and warm up at least every day before they, get too one. Cause I think that if you're under the age of like 12, you need to warm up and stretch. I'm sorry, right? You just, as a general rule, doesn't matter because you could get hurt, but also it keeps you preventing from injury and you get to keep your mobility, which as you get older, it's more important because shocker, if you stay still for too long, you die or
Mm,
lose the body. Okay. So this is a maximum that I use for a company all the time. It's still the jungle. We just have nicer huts, right? That's all
So
it
true.
is. It's the
It's so
same
true.
stuff. Like you're
So true.
just some weird ape thing walking around with like priorities.
Right, right, right,
Um,
right. Subconscious aid.
you know, but if you don't
Uh,
take care of this, like this whole animal you got going, like if you have a dog and your dog's not allergic to chocolate, you're never feeding it chocolate. But we have like plastic in our food sometimes. And
oh
I just
yeah.
want that to be clear. Like,
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
probably shouldn't be eating something with a lot of, crap in it. Um,
Yeah.
but
Yes.
we
Yeah.
we do and then we sell it to people. But I don't think that we should look at I think there's two ways of looking at it, right? There's, oh, we should regulate it, but also we could also just not buy it and then stuff to make it more palatable for consumers because that's what they'll do, right?
Yeah.
Because there are
Yes.
companies, they're like, imagine the most selfish thing possible, that trying to survive. There's two ways of like achieving someone to stick around with you is one, you get them addicted, or two, you make it the most beneficial thing for them to do, and then
Mm.
they do it.
Wow. That's good. Yeah.
Have you ever been in like a super toxic relationship? Right. That's a cost negative. So I'm trying to cost you your mental stability. That way you stay with me longer. That way you feel reliant. So you're addicted.
Wow.
Or I help improve your life and make your life so much better that you keep me around because it's me and I'm awesome. Right. And that's the two positions you get to take. It's one or zero. Right.
Wow. Wow. One or the other, huh? I
Yeah.
mean, that's I love how you framed it that way. I mean, because sometimes we think it's something in between, but I mean, yeah.
Or like, I think part of life is to live it. And I don't see how there's any point in trying to pretend like you're not trying to live it, you know?
I
Like
agree.
go outside, touch some grass, like go on like a mountain somewhere, really explore the environment you have while you have the environment to explore. I
That's
like
good.
you
Wow.
recycle for a reason to keep the earth around you, but also like that we can enjoy it, you know?
Mhm. Yes.
Every so often you get to sleep in because you worked hard like the week of and you
Yeah. I agree. And I love that, Justin. That's a really good reminder, man. I mean, I've had some blows, man. I had some blows recently. Um that like you said, it's w- enjoying proceeds from hard work, and really maybe it's a trip, maybe it's a wellness retreat, right? I think that's important for people
yeah.
to really know and to be reminded to do that we do deserve to live our best life right now, you know? I mean, because before you know it, you know, we are aging, and
Yeah.
we might as well enjoy the process. So that's something that I had a situation in which, you know, recently I basically lent I was lending money to contractors, right? And they were good people. And I look back and I'm like, man, me and my wife, we could have did something. We could have took a trip. We could do different things with that. But, wanting to, receive interest on payments or reach this financial status to compete with the next person and, to it almost clouded my judgment a little bit, and um I think it's important for people to not compete with people, only whatever success they achieve, to be okay with it and not try to like outdo the next person or play all these multi games with it and yeah, so yeah.
You're competing with the person from you yesterday, right? Like that's all it is. Was I better than this guy yesterday? And that's the only bar you have to really look at because, anyone else got the same circumstances you, fam. Like
Yeah,
every
yeah,
other, because you're
100%.
going to make excuses why you're not that successful. You're going to make excuses why you're not that, right? And I think being able to get through cut through the bullshit is super important for just being an entrepreneur because it's cold hard reality you're dealing with. All or die is definitely how entrepreneurship works. We are like, it's calculated risk through a minefield that can explode any moment, right? And you're just like, okay. And now I will pick up the phone and call another person to ask them if they're willing to either try my app or let me pick up the recycling, or let me sell them a house, or let me build them a home, or, let me like implement technology into their plants in order to increase crop yield. The stuff that you do in order to get that one that's so important, but you don't get to that one until you like start at zero. And so you have to just go through it.
And be okay with it, and be okay with it. Play the long game.
Yeah.
Play the long game, right? I mean, that's one thing from that story I was telling is there's no shortcuts, and that's what you're saying as well.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's what I had a big I'm a big part of my earnings or savings went to trying to, really just trying to speed up the process. And if I can go back, I would just say, you're good, for what you've done, your situation, just chill, relax,
Yeah.
know that, like just chill, bro. Like the competition is already in us or whatever. Like we're gonna want to be great every day.
Yeah.
Once you build those habits, right? Once you have that foundation, but don't try to, speed that up and no, don't try to speed that up too much. So
Mhm. But then there's also the whole like, you have to have that dog in you to build that shit first, right? You have to get through this section before you're allowed to go, hey man, relax, take some time, enjoy
yeah,
the
it's
roses, because
true.
there's a period of time where you have to achieve a certain escape velocity, right? You are
Mm,
launching a rocket. It is, I mean, it's kind of a sales boat a little bit. You can, but right now it's rockets. As far as the engines that we're playing with in entrepreneurship now, like I don't think that
mm,
enough people understand that you have to actually accelerate in order to get enough speed to go,
that's good.
because,
That is good.
like if they're not like, oh, he's crazy enough to do the thing, deliver the promise that he just told me, then they're not going to trust you at all.
That's true.
And that's the whole name
100%.
of the game, is like, you can't build a dynasty on no trust.
That's so true. You're right. You're right. What you said reminds me of Elon Musk and basically how he just outworked everybody and
Yeah.
he outworks everybody. And he only wants people on his team who outwork everyone. And you're right. I mean, that guy's gonna get the market share. I mean, he's gonna get it for sure. I mean, but yeah, that's interesting. That's true. That balance is good. It is good, but like you said, you do have to be obsessive, like Kobe Bryant was, to be one of the greats. If that's what you want. Um, so
It's definitely not for the faint of heart. But I mean, shoot, it's a good way to cut your teeth. It's a good way to just be okay with learning and being successful. I think more people learn from failures than they do from their own success, anyways.
that's so good. That's so good. I love that. That's good. That's good.
This has been awesome, Trayvon. This has been awesome.
Man,
Where can
appreciate
people,
you, Justin. Appreciate you.
thank you.
Thank you,
Where
man.
can people go to keep up with what you have going on?
Man, go to Instagram I'm on Instagram. Type in Tavon Willis. I should pop up. The handle is Tavon underscore dot D underscore Willis. And then Facebook Tavon Willis. You can type in TavonWillis.com to keep up with my real estate information. If you're looking to buy or sell, if you just want to stay on top of the market, we got great blogs there. Very educational blogs there, or willisrecycling.com if you know anyone who is looking to anywhere really. I mean, if you have any questions anywhere across the United States and about recycling, go to willisrecycling.com and you can reach me there directly. And yeah, I'm just happy to be on this show, Justin. Thank you. I'm proud of you, man. Your material is awesome. I
Thank
was
you.
going through each episode and I'm like, man, the quality and the quality of the people you have on here, it's an honor,
Ooh,
man. So thank you for this opportunity, man. I am a big fan. So, man, keep it up.
thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Honestly, like the goal here is just to kind of make it easier for people to believe that they could do it. Like at some point, I want entrepreneurship to be as common as people doing algebra, like sixth grade math, sixth grade
Mm,
entrepreneurship, you know? And then obviously I'm selfish, like NutriCompass. I'm trying to pedal that thing out. I'm trying to make it the most practical way of people log food. I'm trying to make it to where we can work in gyms, all this other stuff. Um, and honestly, we got one life to live. I might as well have fun with it. Um, but really appreciate you, fam. Like, any books you recommend while you're here?
oh man. Heck yeah, man. Thank you so much for asking that question. So yeah, some of my favorite books are The Rational Optimist by Matt Ridley. That one's a good one. And then biographies. Oh, the source code was a good one with Bill Gates. That was really good. Um, and let's see, what's another one that folks might enjoy? I really like John D. Rockefeller's autobiography.
Yeah.
I mean, that was a really good one. So,
Rockefeller was such a talented entrepreneur because he understood the concept of secret alliances so well.
mm,
Like he, and this is going to be a little extra snippet for people who kept up with it, but the genius of how Rockefeller works is he did the same thing. Like Rockefeller did it, the guy who started Whole Foods did it, and like a lot of people have done it where they have the community around them that isn't on paper necessarily, and that you're not going to know about necessarily, backing them up and helping them achieve the new level of success that they have. So it really is like trust has been a factor for hundreds of thousands of years in entrepreneurship, and people are social animals. We haven't made the connection like, oh, if I just, and that's what I hate about the way social media works now is it's all FOMO based. But if we can get it
mm,
where people are sort of prioritizing the experiences and like going outside their homes to go do stuff, I promise you we would have so much less like fear and panic in the world. Um, I mean, I say it now, but we also have like all these lists of things to go on. So I
mhm.
don't know any more than anyone else does, right?
Bro, you identifying that is, I mean, that's big time that you noticed that. So yeah, thank you for sharing that. I mean, because like you said, a lot of people don't know that. I mean, a lot of like you said, political power and different things probably do work like in the background. I think I heard they say the same thing similar about Peter Thiel, Peter
Mhm.
Thiel,
Yeah.
like, somebody that's very influential, but
I have
you
no
don't
idea
see
who it
him.
is.
Yeah,
No
yeah, no,
idea.
yeah, yeah. I mean, you don't see him a lot. I mean, the people who know him, but you hear more about Elon Musk, right? I mean, but
Yeah.
like,
But Elon's doing his job better than Thiel ever did. Like Elon Musk is getting on and see, this is the thing with being a CEO is you have to get on there and talk shit. It's not, you're basically paid to talk as much crap as you can about your company and then hoping to God your team can help back it up. That's really what it is, though. Like straight up, the only reason why I'm able to generate the same amount of hype I do for News Compass, what I do for Zero One Podcast, is I just talk shit. Like really, really, that's all it is. And I smile about it, like, aha, like let's just go do a thing. Um, and but yeah, like Naval Ravikant, I don't think that most people would make that a household name if he wasn't, but he's not though. He's not a household name at all, right? If you think of entrepreneurship, you're not thinking about that guy. But if you know, right?
he's
Um,
sharp. Yeah, he's giving away game, man. I always enjoy his podcasts and whatnot. It's good information. Deep thinker. He's
yeah,
real deep.
yeah, that
Yeah,
means he's insane, by the way. I think that's another thing too, is like if you're still like still waters run deep, but oh my gosh, deep waters are just like, yeah, you lose your mind a little bit in the abyss sometimes. So you got to be careful, go outside, like connect with family, let them know you love them, right? And just,
100%.
right? Like what else
I
you really
love
got?
that.
Appreciate it, fam.
100%, man. Justin, thank you, brother. Appreciate you. Let's do it again, right?
Yep.
Hopefully, it's some new growth. If we keep doing what we're supposed to be doing, man. Let's keep it up.
Devon, I'm excited for you, man. I'm excited. I think honestly, in 6 months, I'm curious to see where you're going to be at. Like really, really
Thank you, man. I appreciate that.
appreciate you,
I
fam.
well, I just want to keep adding to our circle of greatness. Like you gave me some great advice about, connecting with folks that are tapped in and the startup world. So, I'm gonna look into that and definitely want to surround myself with greatness because that's how we beget more greatness, right? So, thank you for
Absolutely,
this
man.
opportunity and looking forward to, checking out your future episodes. So,
Great. Thank you so much, sir. Really appreciate it.
all right, take care.
All
All
right.
right,
Have a good
peace.
one. Bye.
Yes, sir.